Ignacio, first of all, thanks for being here. It's a pleasure to have your participation in the event. You have just participated in a panel on local and foreign investments in Latin America. So, in general terms, what are the main highlights shared between the participants, you and your colleagues? Are we experiencing a more positive or more negative, challenging moment in Latin America, in your view?
Thank you, Enrique. Thank you for this invitation to this event. Well, basically, we had a very interesting panel, very open because it was a discussion between international and local investors. And what we see is that Latin America is in a good moment. We have, of course, as has been in the long term, situations on a political side, interest rates, monetary policy, inflation, all these aspects that create a region with full of challenge and also full of opportunities. And if I may summarize a very interesting panel that we had, is that basically from a local and international perspective, we see that we want to keep investing in the region. I think that's the main take from the panel. We see a region in the Pacific Alliance, especially Mexico, Colombia, Peru, Chile, that are very interesting asset classes to be invested in real estate. Also, Brazil remains like a huge opportunity. You see the São Paulo region, you see Rio de Janeiro, you see other regions in Brazil that are taking a very interesting situation to increase investments. A commodity cycle is coming, so we see also investments that will come for topics related to real estate like infrastructure that will create good opportunities to increase investments in the 5G projects in roads, seaports, airports. So that will create an opportunity for the region, and that's something that we discussed during this meeting.
Excellent, excellent. So based on the points that you just mentioned, what are Sura Asset Management strategy for Latin America, the main real estate business lines at the moment?
Yes. So basically in Sura Asset Management, we have as GPs, we have a real estate arm that is based in Mexico, in Colombia, in Peru, and in Chile. We have 12 funds. We see good opportunities in logistics. We see good opportunities in industrial sites. Also in hospitality. Hospitality is becoming very interesting in the region. There are cities like Mexico, like Medellin, like Bogota, Santiago, and Buenos Aires that are becoming very interesting hubs for people to arrive and live there. So what we call digital nomads. And they are becoming among the 10 largest cities in the world to capture an advantage to have hospitality for digital nomads. Besides tourism, and also what we see is opportunities in the nearshoring that we have been discussing during this event in Mexico. There are very interesting opportunities to invest in industrial sites. We have 2 sites that we acquired recently in Mexico, and we're planning to expand in that line of business in this country.
Perfect. Speaking more specific about nearshoring, you just mentioned it's a big trend, and Sura have already announced that you want to double the amount of assets under management in the next 5 years. What movements are already being done in this direction, and what are the biggest challenges for nearshoring?
Yes. So the opportunity is real. So what we see in the Bajío Valley, what we see in the north of Monterrey is a significant increase in the development of the industrial sites of U.S. and Canadian companies that are establishing in this region to create a production that have great opportunities vis-a-vis Asia. Geographical position, you have close to 50 land ports between all the states in Mexico and the US that create an opportunity for reduction of carbon emissions, speed to produce and to create the opportunities vis-a-vis Asia. Also, what we see is the advances in technology, in manufacturing that Mexicans are having. Labor cost is 5-to-1 versus the US, so also that creates an opportunity for the region. So we as institutional investors, what we see is that the investments that all the institutional investors are planning in Mexico will go from $30 to $90 billion in the next years. That's a significant amount of investments in alternative assets, and of course, real estate is in that part. On your question, risks, there is a need to invest in infrastructure in Mexico. You need to create more roads, more ports. Electricity is something that also needs to be addressed in that region, and water. So those are things that need to be improved and the risks that need to be mitigated in order to continue this trend on the nearshoring in Mexico.
Excellent. A final question. The economy in the United States is more resilient than expected, and it affects the rhythm of the interest rate cuts. So to what extent does this concern you, considering the effect of high U.S. interest rates on emerging markets like Mexico, Chile, Colombia? How do you see this situation?
Okay, so basically what we see is that definitely the Fed needs to reduce interest rates. There is a situation, there is like a catch-22 that the Fed is right now, because on the one side, they want to do a landing that will not affect the U.S. economy, but on the other side, you have a huge amount of fiscal debt in this country, and if you keep paying at these interest rates, the service of this debt is a very complex situation for the U.S. We expect that probably the Fed will consider to reduce interest rates faster than we were expecting probably a couple of weeks ago, and that will create a domino effect in Latin America. Central banks in Latin America are controlling inflation. Monetary policy in most of the countries is very orthodox. They're doing it a good job. We expect that interest rates would go down, and that create opportunities to improve cap rates on real estate. And of course, projects that probably had been on the freezer for a while, now they are planning again to review it with banks to improve their investments in the region.